Welcome to the second tutorial of our Medical Biochemistry Power Capsules series. This tutorial B is a continuation from our first tutorial. If you haven't watched tutorial A yet, we suggest you should go through that before you watch this video. In my previous presentation, I had discussed about the objective of the discipline of biochemistry and why studying this subject is essential for understanding the nuances of the human body. In this presentation, I shall further discuss about the subject matter of biochemistry so that students get a broad idea about what is covered in this discipline and what they shall learn in this subject. Moreover, students can then develop an orientation and roadmap, which is essential for navigating through this subject, which otherwise might appear quite complicated and mistakenly seem unrelated to medical practice. Every chemical system has reactants and products, zinc and sulfuric acid, along with their products, zinc sulfate and hydrogen gas, is an example of a very simple chemical system. This chemical system, which for sake of brevity we shall call hydrogen chemical system, requires a place for occurrence where the entire process can unfold, and this place of occurrence may be a beaker, glass bottle, glass jar, etc. Quite similarly, hundreds of specific chemical reactants, along with their products, form an exceedingly complex chemical system, the human body. These substances are mainly organic chemicals in nature, along with certain inorganic elements and compounds. The human body, with its structure and function, is the visible outcome of this special chemical system. This chemical system doesn't take place in a glass bottle or beaker. Its place of occurrence is the Earth, where billions of such individual chemical systems exist, all similar in essence. The difference between the body chemical system and the hydrogen chemical system is that, whereas the outcome in case of the hydrogen chemical system is not very dramatic except clouds of gas and some bubbling along with solid residue, the outcome of the body chemical system is very dramatic. The dramatic outcome is that an entire living entity gets synthesized from non-living matter, and this entity starts functioning in specific ways. And this system is extremely complex, unlike the simple hydrogen chemical system. Whereas the reactants in our hydrogen chemical system were zinc and sulfuric acid, the reactants in the body chemical system are an enormous number of organic biomolecules, along with many inorganic elements and compounds such as sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, water and many more. Therefore, biochemistry has to be the study of these biomolecules along with the other inorganic substances involved, their chemical nature, their chemistry, how they react, and the intricate and large number of chemical processes they are involved in. It's because these very chemical processes make the formation of our bodies possible, and then animate those bodies, thereby bringing life into existence. Biochemistry can therefore be considered as the study of biomolecules and the chemical processes involving biomolecules along with some inorganic substances. The main categories of biomolecules are carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and nucleic acids. Water, though not exactly a biomolecule, is also an important molecule for life. These biomolecules have characteristic chemical structures and properties. These biomolecules engage in various chemical reactions and undergo transformations, all with the final objective of constructing the body structure, sustaining the body structure and animating that body. In totality, the chemical process that constructs and sustains our body is known as metabolism. Hundreds of different types of molecules participate in metabolism, which comprises of thousands of chemical reactions and transformations. For any particular individual, the chemical process of metabolism starts with fertilization in the womb, Life-sustaining metabolism as such ends at death. Metabolism can be thought of as a complex chain reaction which is highly networked and spans a time, depending on the lifespan of an individual, from seconds to decades. Therefore, in biochemistry, we shall be studying metabolism. Though the process of metabolism is highly complex, highly interlinked, and is a continuous flux, for ease of study and understanding it is segregated into different chapters and topics in biochemistry textbooks, such as metabolism of carbohydrates, metabolism of lipids, acid-base balance, etc. In actuality, there's no such separate division in our bodies, and metabolism happens without any break. As said earlier, the grand intricate process of life-sustaining metabolism comes to a halt upon death. Apart from the process of metabolism, there's another type of process going on in our bodies. This involves molecular processes where large molecules interact with each other, leading to transformational outcomes. The breakdown of glucose to pyruvate is an example of metabolic process comprising of multi-step chemical reactions. In contrast, two chains of long DNA molecules coming together and attaching to one another to form a helical coil is an example of molecular process. It's important to emphasize that both metabolic processes and molecular processes are made possible because of laws of physics and chemistry, laws governing chemical bond formation and chemical reactions. In biochemistry, we shall also study about molecular processes. The properties of elements and compounds make chemical processes possible. Certain specific chemical processes make certain molecular processes possible. These molecular processes make it possible to form unique types of structural elements which we know as biological structures. The organizational ability of biological structural elements makes it possible for whole, functioning structures to form at varying scales of size, from the unicellular amoeba to the blue whale. And once these whole functioning structures are formed, metabolic processes prevent these structures from disintegrating. In other words, metabolic reactions create and sustain biological entities. Our body comprises of organs. These organs function in a coordinated fashion, and therefore we can have a functioning whole body. In other words, our body is a collection of organs. The organs are made up of tissues, and tissues are made up of cells. In order to understand how the body works in health and disease, we have to understand how organs function. In order to understand how organs function, we need to understand how tissues and cells function. Cells are comprised of cell organelles working in a coordinated fashion. Each type of cell organelle is made up of macromolecular complexes systematically organized and working in coordination. The macromolecular complexes are formed of macromolecules as well as small molecules. The very formation of organelles and their functioning is possible because of molecular interactions between these unique molecules that come in various sizes and shapes. These molecular interactions are possible because of metabolic reactions and are also sustained and propagated by metabolic reactions. Hence, as per logic, if we are to understand why and how the body functions, we have to go to the very roots and understand these metabolic processes as well as the subsequent molecular processes. Such knowledge ultimately enables us to decipher the cause of diseases and disorders. We know what happens in diabetes mellitus only because we know about the metabolism of carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. We know why sickle cell anemia occurs because we now know how the molecular processes related to hemoglobin and the human genome work. We know a lot about what happens in cancer because we now know about normal and abnormal metabolic reactions as well as normal and abnormal molecular processes involved in cell cycle, cell division, etc. Biochemistry, along with molecular biology, clearly shows that living entities are fundamentally comprised of atoms and molecules which are themselves non-living entities. Biochemistry has been able to explain a lot about the intricate process by which living entities are formed from inanimate matter and how such entities function at the micro level. However, biochemistry hasn't yet been able to answer how complex behavior, consciousness, and sentience is possible, even though the fundamental constituents of our bodies display none of those properties. But let's leave that question for philosophers and physicists. As doctors, it should be enough for our purpose that biochemistry explains the elementary basis of health and disease.
Thanks for watching this video. Our next tutorial in this medical biochemistry power capsule series is titled Cells and Cell Organelles. Do keep watching the videos and please don't forget to like, subscribe and share.